Good evening, everyone. Welcome to DesignX Workshop 1 User Experience Foundations. We are thrilled that you are joining us tonight. I am Dinara Vikrama and I'll be your host for today's session. Tonight, you'll dive deep into User Experience Foundations, core principle of UX, understanding user needs and behaviors, problem framing and creating value through UX, how UX ties into product thinking and real-world design processes. Today, we are starting with Workshop 1, and Workshop 2 will be held on 12th December, focusing on visual design and Figma systems. And Workshop 3 will be held on 16th December, focusing on advanced Figma plus practical hands-on session. E-certificates will be awarded to participants who stay until the end of the session. So we kindly request you to remain until the session concludes. DesignX Workshop series is proudly hosted by the IEEE Computer Society of University of Colombo School of Computing. We are very grateful to IFS, our innovation partner, for supporting this workshop series and helping us bring industry insights to you. Without further delay, it's my pleasure to introduce our speaker, Mr. Pulasthi Ranawaka, lead UX designer at IFX.
Thank you, Dinara. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. Um,
Sir,
can you
can you
guys?
please wait? We can to watch this
I'm sorry.
video.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Sir. Over to you, Mr. Pulasti.
Yeah. Thanks, Dinara, and thanks everyone. And thanks, Dinara, for a wonderful introduction. And okay, so let me share my screen. Hope you can hear my voice, right? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I'm a lead UX designer at IFS. So today, let's talk about the design and yes, design thinking foundations. So the initial ask was to do some foundation concepts to you guys about the design thinking, and so then we thought about like what if we showcase some AI thinking is in the latter part of this presentation. So this presentation is all about design and AI thinking foundations. And by end of this presentation, you would understand some of the basics, some of the foundations of the design thinking, and let's say AI thinking foundations um, in the user experience industry and even in the technical industry. Okay. Yeah, before we dive in, it's a bit about where I come from. I work at IFS. You might know the name, but you might not know uh, the scale of the company. So we don't build simple, simple applications, simple chat applications, so food delivery websites. We build massive operating systems that run global businesses. So when an airline schedules a flight or power plant um, manage its turbines, or a construction company builds a skyscraper, so they often use IFS software uh, to do it. So this means the design problems we solve as designers, as UX designers, as product designers, are incredibly complex at IFS. So if our design fails, at some point, it doesn't annoy a single user. It can stop just annoy a single user. It can stop a factory line. So that's the scale. So we work in at IFS. Okay, so at IFS, my role as a UX designer involves enterprise UX. I think some of you may heard the term enterprise UX. Since we are in the ERP industry, the ERP solution industry, and we mainly involves with the enterprise UX. So you may heard enterprise UX and consumer UX. So in IFS and in all the ERP solution companies, the designers are mainly involving with the enterprise UX. We are mainly designing softwares for the business users, not for the regular consuming users. My daily challenges, my day-to-day activities involves taking massive feature-heavy user flows and transforming them into intuitive experiences. So we have to balance thousands of technical features with the need for a simple human experiences. So this actually, we took this picture back in 2023. So this is the UX force at IFS. I think this is so little. I think right now we have 60 plus design force at IFS globally. And so this we took this actually 2023, I guess. And so this is where the design thinking become our most important tool. So when we are working with our day-to-day design problems, design thinking is one of our most prioritized tool in our day-to-day activities. Okay, so what is design thinking? So design thinking is more than a process. It's a mindset, right? So it puts the human at the center and promotes iterative, creative problem solving. So instead of rushing to fix something, so we, the designers, the problem solvers, ask ask what's the real problem? Who are we solving it for? Who are the users facing these problems? It's used across industries, not just technical industries, from healthcare to and tech and to policy making and education. Every problem solving industries we are using design thinking. And most important part is design thinking is not used by only designers. So it can be used by anyone who are trying to solve any problem in their day-to-day activities. So design thinking help us to come up with solution that are not feasible, but also viable and describable. So these are the definition of the design thinking in the books. But let's see in the presentation. Let's dive deeper into design thinking basics and yeah. So let's zoom out a bit and let's. So this is what design thinking is all about. So as the designers, as the builders, as the problem solvers, so we build something and we measure the build, and then based on the measurements, based on the feedback we got from the end users, we are learning something. So based on the learning outcomes, again, we are improve the build, and it's basically a iterative process. It's a circular. So this is the basic process. So designers and teams use these design thinking methods to understand their users, challenge assumptions, redefine problems, and create innovative solutions to prototype and test. Yeah? So this is the high level view of what we are going to understand today. Okay, so that's the high level view. So let's dive deeper into the design thinking process. Let's talk about the theoretical part. So the first one is, I think you may heard some of these names. Empathize. The first step is the empathize. So in this stage, so we need to understand the problem. So we need to define the challenge and explore the human context. So this is the first step. So in this stage, the main goal, the main target is to understand the user's reality, right? So we are the designers. We need to understand the end user's reality. So in this stage, everyone, so we need to discard our own assumptions when we are dig deeper into the in this empathize level. So so I need to highlight. So we are not the user. So we are just a problem solver who is trying to understand the problem here. So in the first step. So we are trying to understand their point of view, their reality. And so in that case, we need to discard our own assumptions, our pre-assumptions, right? So I have put some three examples like how we can empathize the problem. So in the first image, you can see the user interviews. So these processes we are using for user interviews to understand problem from the end user's point of view. So since we are in the digital product design industry, so you can see there are lots of digital products out there. So users are having so many problems and so many issues with their products. Let's say e-commerce website, let's say social media website, let's say another financial application. So they are facing tons of issues daily. So as the designers, so we need to identify that problem by talking to users, people who are using that application, people who are facing the problems in their day-to-day lives. User interviews is a good tool to talk with them and understand their pain points. So keep in mind, in the user interviews, users are saying the things that they don't like, they like, likewise. So they are saying things, right, in the user interviews. So in the second image, I have posted the user observations. So in the user interviews, we actually documented all the things that users were saying about the problem. And in the user observation, as the designers, we are asking them to, okay, now we need to monitor how they are interacting uh, with the application, with the product. So in this case, I think you can see this particular person is observe how this end user is interacting with the product. So we can see what are the frustrations, and we can see the emotions of the user who are interacting with each and every steps of the product, and we can see what are the exact problems, right? So based on the interviews and observation, and there are many other tools to understand empathize, but here I'm trying to highlight some of three here. So right after these user interviews and user observations, so we can use empathy maps to map all the data that we gathered during the interviews and observation sessions. So empathy map is basically to document what users says, thinks, does, and feels. And so usually to do these empathy maps, so we are using a couple of tools in the industry. So the first tool is pen and paper. So we can, in the user interviews, we can write down all the things what users are saying. In the user observations, we can record the screen, and even we can write down some of the observation, their struggles, their frustrations, their anxiety points, right? In the user observations. And so Dovetail is another tool that we are using, even in IFS, we are using Dovetail tool to, to document all the user interviews and all the user observations in a single place. So it's a tool. So we have documented each and every interview in a more perfect manner for our future purposes. And when we're sharing with each other, it's a really great tool to use. So it's called Dovetail. And other than that, I think obviously the FigJam tool, which we are using for brainstorm ideas and to map all the gathered information in a single place. So this is the initial phase of the problem identification level. So let's go to the second step, define. So in the define stage, so we need to understand why this particular problem is important to us or important to the end users. So that's the second step, right? So in this step, our main goal as the designers and the problem solvers, our main goal is to the turn messy observation into clear problem statement. So this is our goal. So in the initial step, in the empathize level, so we actually gathered like tons of feedback from the end users, tons of monitored feedbacks from the end users, and it's really messy, right? But in the define level, so what we're going to do is we need to turn that messy observations, comments, and everything into clear problem statement. So this is the place we are basically framing the problem um, based on our initial observation and discussion with the end users. So this is the thing, the well-defined problem is half solved. So we already solved the problem if we can create a good problem statement. So that's we should keep in mind as designers, as problem solvers. So, so after observing users, you have a lot of noise, complaints, requests, and confusion. Now you need to find the signal. We group these, so we group these findings to find patterns. So in the first image, you can see there's a document in the first step. So we can cluster all the observation, all the comments from the end users, from the problem point of view. And we're trying to, in this stage, we are trying to find a pattern um, to understand the problem to more digestive level, right? So but here we are not trying to solve everything. We are here trying to pinpoint the right thing. We move from vague complaint like this UI is really hard. This doesn't work to a specific challenge like how might we help something uh, identify without needing to travel to the campus. I'm just giving a small example. So how might we sticky notes are really helpful to understand the problem in more like a framed way. So how might we questions we are using to basically to frame the problem into a clear target. So these are some of the tools we are using in the define stage to frame the problem and turn messy observations into clear problem statement. So this is the define stage. Okay, so let's talk about ideate. how do we solve it? How do we how we're going to solve this problem? Because in the initial step, we try to understand the problem. Then the define stage, we actually frame the problem into certain level. So based on the findings, the third step, we are trying to find a solutions. Not solution, but we are trying to brainstorm some good ideas, even some bad ideas. So in the ideate stage, um, uh, the our main goal is to generate wide range of solutions. So as a team, as a software development team, or as a designing team, so we need to create a safe space to generate ideas. So even new intern can give some new ideas. I mean, we are not judging anyone in this stage. We need ideas. So the thing is, quantity creates quality. The more amounts of ideas are generating, it's improve the quality of the ideation process. So we need ideas. So we need to brainstorm ideas. So we can spend like, hours and hours to brainstorm ideas to find some solid, not a solution, but some solid right path, um, uh, solving this idea section. And so other than that, we are using Crazy Eights technologies, Crazy Eight um, tool, uh, which is the sketching 8 ideas in 8 minutes. It's a really rapid technique to brainstorm ideas in a quick meeting or quick session. So we are using these things in our day-to-day activities as well. So this is what the ideate session is all about. So we need ideas, right, to solve that initial problem, right? Yeah. Okay. So now we are moving to the prototype level. Again, just a small recap. So in the empathize level, we identified the problem. In the define level, we frame the problem. And in the ideate level, so we discussed with our team and with our stakeholders about the problem. And we have some set of solutions, right? In the prototype level, the fourth phase of the design thinking phase, how do we create, so in the prototype stage, sorry, yeah, in the our main goal is to uh, build a representation of your idea to learn. So we are creating some representation of our ideas, because in the initial steps, we created so many solutions, so many ideas. But so based on the ideas that we took during in the ideate stage, now we are moving towards to create some prototypes to our stakeholders and to our team members, and even to test with our end users. So this is the prototype state. So we are here built just to think. We are not launching anything. We are just here to test with our end users. We just need to test, and we can be some fake versions, right? So so we don't jump straight to the building the final product. In this stage, we are not talking about the final polished end product. Obviously, it is too risky and it's really expensive, right? So instead of, we build the fake version. We are building in the toned down version of the some of the idea that we took in the ideate stage. And sometimes it could be drawings on a paper or simple digital click through. So in the first image, I have put actually some paper prototypes. So we are actually, as the designers, we should use the pen and paper, and we are sketching some crazy ideas. We are trying to create some paper prototypes and to just showcase our own ideas to our other team members. So it's called paper prototypes. And other than that, some digital click through. So I think obviously you know already about the Figma tool, and there's another the star in the town called Figma Make. So Figma Make is really really valuable in this level to create some crazy some good prototype um, uh, to actually to test with the end users. So even in our context, we are using Figma Make as as much as possible because at IFS we have our own design system, design.ifs.com. We are using our own design system components, and we actually connected our own design system with Figma Make. And when we are having some conversation with our stakeholders, we are brainstorming some ideas. So it's really easy us to create some rapid prototypes um, by using Figma Make because we have, incorporate our own design language to Figma Make. So Figma Make is a really great tool in these days, thanks to AI, to improve our productivity in the prototype stage. So so goal here is not the perfection, it's the speed. So we need to improve the speed of this process. So we want to make the idea tangible enough so that someone else can interact with it and we can see if it actually makes sense. So that's why we need prototyping in this design thinking process. Okay, so now we are coming to the last part of the design thinking process, which is test. So main goal here of the test is the test section, test step is to validate our solution with the real people. What do you mean by real people? So when we go back to our design thinking process, so if you can remember, we talked about empathize level, right? So in the empathize level, uh, we talk with the end users, right? We observe the end users' interactivity, we interview the end users. In the previous step, we actually create a prototype, right? So then we are testing that prototype with the actual end users who were having the problems in the empathize stage. So this is really important. So we need to watch what they do, not what they say. So that's really, really important in this stage. So sometimes when they are, when they are checking our solution, our prototypes, they were like, okay, I don't need this. I know I need something different. But we are not, I mean, we are actually listening what they actually saying, but we need to monitor what they actually do with our prototype. So in this, I think it's a good example is this image. You can see the you can see that this blue the lady is basically an observer. She's watching this end user is using the prototype, or let's say a final product or something. But you can see there are some cameras, some sensors to understand the user's eyeball movement and his interactions and his thumb movement and everything she's observing. So this is the moment of truth. So we don't explain the interface to them. So we are not here saying about so this button. Once you click on this button, you will navigate to this screen. We are not saying that. So we don't explain any of the interface uh, interactions to them. We let them figure it out. So that's the really important part. If they get stuck or if they fail to complete the task, so we haven't failed. That is totally fine in this stage because we are doing some testings. That is the term testing means. So they can stuck or even they couldn't understand what the interaction is, right? That's totally fine. The most important part here is we have learned something out of the testing, right? So we take that insight go back to our room, go back to our war room in the office and onto drawing board and improve the design. So that's the cycle, right? So it is not a straight line about the problem solving. So this is basically iterative. I think I have mentioned it in the previous screens as well. So this is not a straight line. It is a iterative and a cycle process. So so what I was by war room is basically, so we had our discussion ideation in a single room or even a Zoom call or even a Teams call. Again, we are presenting our ideas. So this is my personal experience as well. So once we done the user testing with the actual end users, again, sometimes it really, we feel, sometimes it really hurting, right? As a designer, sometimes we have to kill our darlings, right? So because sometimes users are confused with our own designs, own products. So that's totally fine. What we can do here is we can use those insights and go back to our meeting room and we can present to our stakeholders. Or these are the insights that we took during the usability test. And these are the good points and these are the bad points. So how can get rid of the bad points and improve the good points. So that's the goal of this testing purpose. So again, it's a cycle, right? So in the other image, the next image, other image, you can see the A/B testing. The A/B testing is another good example to do some good testings, and so we are using some two different features of a single product, and we are using the same. We are using two different products to a single group. We are presenting that two features to a single group and we are testing and we are trying to get some insights. So there are lots of ways to do tests in the testing phase. These are some of the examples. Okay, so let's zoom out a bit. And so basically this is the process that we discussed uh, as design thinking process in the books. So this is the theory, right? So we learn this as a theory. So we discuss each and every steps by using some simple examples. So you can see the empathize, define, ideate, then the prototype, and the final step, not a final step, but it's the final step for as the designers to check the results with the end users, right? So it is a non-linear, so you can jump back and forth to each and every segment. So for example, in the testing phase, and once we find a good or bad insight, and again, we are jumping to the define section and we are trying to reframe the problem that we are going to solve, because the define segment is basically understand framing the problem, right? So based on the test results, then we figuring out, okay, this is not the problem we are going to solve, right? So back to the define stage, and we are reframing, reiterating, or changing our problem statement um, into a more improved problem statement, right? Or even sometimes based on the test results and based on the feedback based on the informations we got during the test phase, we are jumping to the ideate session and uh, we are brainstorming new ideas uh, to overcome some of the negative comments or negative interaction that we monitored during the test phase, right? Yeah, so this is just not a linear process. Um, it's a circular one. And again, I think I have mentioned it previously as well. So this is not just for designers, right? So as a designer, we can use this as a great tool, but this is not just for designers. It's for problem solvers. I'm pretty sure. So you have seen this diagram in your activities, in your exercises, in the user experience modules, and so this is the standard. So this is the standard. I think there are lots of, I think there are a couple of universities and some institutions defining this design system, thinking methods according to their own way. But this is basically the structure of how we are going to solve a problem in a limited time scale. But this is the standard. So let's look how it works in the real world. So we learn the theory part. So let's see how this design thinking works in the real world. So what's this? So this is MRI machine, right? So this is MRI machine which is used in hospitals, right? So there's a problem. The initial phases of the MRI machines development, the product development, the the problem was the little kids were terrified of MRI machines. Why is that? Because it's really loud and it's really scary, right? I even can see this diagram. It's really scary. And so kids were so terrified and so afraid of these MRI machines to get tested, and even the hospitals and even they face so many problems, right? And there were so many solutions, suggestions coming from different engineers, different different stakeholders to make it quieter. So there are solutions coming as make it quieter, right? But if you think about MRI scan, these machines prices, I think it's $100,000 value, right? It's really costly, and it's really hard to change a single hardware and to make it quieter, and it's really expensive as well. So the problem here is how can we create the MRI machines more kid friendly? So that's the problem we need to solve. Okay, so this is the problem. This is the solution that they came up with, the designers came up with. So they painted it like a pirate ship. So it's because the empathy, and it's really cheap, right? When we comparing to changing some of the hardwares in the MRI machines, it's really cheap to create the whole room as a pirate ship or as a cartoon characters, and it's really cheap. So then the sedation rates dropped by 80%. So the engineers, the even in the solution phase, so the engineers and some of the stakeholders wanted to rewire the machine by changing the hardware products and hardwares and tools here and there. They wanted to reduce the noise. So the designer, right? The designer realized that the problem was not the noise. So everyone was thinking like these are all about the noise, it's all about the scariness, but designer somehow realized that it was not the noise, it's the fear. It's the fear of kids, fear of these little kids, right? So how do you get rid of the fear factor? So you need to paint, that just a small example that if you want to get rid of the fear factor, so you need to paint it like a pirate ship. So the designers solved it with paint, right? So no code, no Figma, no UI. So they actually solve the problem with colors and paint. So that's, my friends, design thinking. So this is the design thinking I'm talking about. Okay, so let's do a small activity. Let me open my chat. I think I can. I'm not sure how I can open. Oh, okay. Okay. Uh, Everyone has the access to the chat, right? Uh, can someone say yes or something? Okay, cool. So yeah, so let's do a rapid testing or rapid activity. Yeah, thanks, Mohammed. Thanks. Yeah, thanks, Yasiru. Um, okay. What we're going to do here is, okay. So I want you to roast, right? It's a rapid roast. I want you to roast any Sri Lankan banking mobile application or financial application. It probably has some issues, right? Like how it make you feel, or a specific scenario where it failed you, right? So let's take a couple of minutes, and I need your opinion about this product or banking mobile application or finance application. And so yeah, so give me some answers in the chat. So how it makes you feel, or is there any specific scenario where it failed you, this mobile banking application or finance applications? So don't mention the names, but the brand names, but just share your experiences in the chat um, as examples. The slow is it's a common example. It's really slow. It's a common example, but from your point of view, I need your thoughts, like how it makes you feel, or is there any specific scenarios where it failed you? Okay, I think time's up. I think we can spend like 2-3 minutes here. So I think chat is open. I think I can see there are um, yeah, plenty of people in the meeting room. So yeah, let's. I'm waiting for your answers. Hope you can understand the problem, right? Just give a thanks, Asiru, I think. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's a great one, Asiru. So what else? BOC passbook app sometimes difficult to log in, not much attractive UI, poor design. Yes, of course. Authentication, orange background, bank online applications have major issues with the registering device of account holders. Yes, of course. Interesting. Yes, we didn't get the OTP code within time. Yes. Every other country maintains at 2 a.m. Sri Lankan banks, we under scheduled maintenance, try again later. Provides Monday. Yes, yes, of course. Monday afternoon. My banking app said incorrect password when my fingerprint. Okay. An earlier version of X mobile banking app, I couldn't transfer funds immediately. The app was asking to add the pay to favorite list first. Yeah, of course. That's really painful. Too many things in a small visual area. When I try to log in, the OTP doesn't arrive. Yes, again, some OTP frustrations, technical glitches. Yes, I have an experience on the used bank app of commercial bank that does not have a good user interface. It feels too messy. Yes, yes, yeah, yeah. It's a good answers. Go bank applications. So many interesting chats are coming. 2 minutes, please, and OTP request very slow. Doesn't work sometimes and can't transfer funds, can't log in most of the time. Again, these are the frustrations, anxiety, confusion, right? Okay, so let's spend like 1 more minute on this. One of the telecommunication self provide my SP want stop lagging. Okay, not enough tech support and only answers vague questions. Lack of customization in the chat to answers. Mobile bank has complex navigation, of course. Yeah, refunds. They repay reply faster if you donate the money instead. Yeah. BSA mobile bank has complex navigations, of course, poor contrast. Nice. The app looks outdated and doesn't follow the modern design standards. Navigation feels confusing, make it hard to users to find what they need. People's bank app registering process is seriously confusing and it needs major. Yeah. So we don't need to mention the application names, but yeah, I can see your frustrations, the pains. Okay, thanks everyone, and thanks for your time and to give at least some interaction in this session. So okay, logged my account for no reason. Yeah, yeah, that's a good one, Sashi. Yeah. Thanks, everyone. I think we can stop here. And so you didn't complain about their database schema, their backend. You complain about the confusion and the anxiety that you are experiencing in the application. So again, so that is the user experience. So this is the user experience we are talking about. So this is not just a backend complexity. We can't even see that backend complexity because sometimes some application they have the backend complexities and some technical jargons behind their databases and their backends, but it's really affecting for the front end, but it doesn't matter for the end user, right? I'm not thinking about their backend. I'm just thinking about to do my task in a simple time frame, the limited time frame. I don't care about their backend and their technical jargons. So I'm complaining the confusion, right? There are so many things about the navigation and so many things about the confusion, right? So this is the use experience, my friends. So this is the use experience I'm trying to talk here. So this is we need to improve the user experience by looking at this problem from user's point of view. Right? We need to jump into the user's shoes and we need to think from the end user's point of view. Right? Cool. And thanks a lot. I think I got some wonderful comments and some funny comments as well. And cool. Okay, so we talked about the what do you call it? We talk about the traditional way of design thinking, right? So since we are in the AI era, age of AI, so we need to so the paradigm actually shift to the AI part, AI thinking level. So we talked about the design thinking. So now all the tables have turned to AI thinking. So that is what we are trying to touch in this time today. And let's see what will happen. So there's a difference between AI thinking versus design thinking. So AI thinking and the design thinking. So what is this AI? So what's the difference between the AI thinking and the design thinking? So the AI thinking, sorry, the traditional UX, the traditional design thinking is command based, right? So which means once you clicks on a button, once user clicks on a button, and system reacts on the based on the command based. But in the other hand, AI UX is intent based. So user signals some intent to the system, then the system predicts and gives some results. So past 10 years, we designed static flows. If user clicks A, go to B, but with AI, so in the current software designing methodologies, even the traditional design thinking methods we were talking about, we are talking um, about the linear path. Once you click on this, I can see some screen right after. Once you click on this button, I can see a new screen. Once you click on that, the close button, it will remove, right? That's the linear path of the traditional UX or traditional design thinking methods. But with AI, so we don't know what's the system will give, system output. So we are moving designing screens to designing relationships. So that's the major uh, uh, pivot point that we are. So this is what we're experiencing, my friends. So some tools were actually they are going out of the picture because of the AI, right? So now we are moving and designing screens to designing relationship with the involvement of the AI. Let's talk about something more. Let's talk something more. To understand the difference, so I want you to visualize two things. So traditional design is like vending machine. So you know this, right? This is the vending machine. It is rigid. Users have to do all the work, right? They must walk up, insert the exact chain, coins, and press, let's say, B4, B1 or something, some button. And if the user press the wrong button, they get the wrong item. So that's the traditional way of doing design, right? Once you click something, some button in the vending machine, it will give you a Coca-Cola bottle or a chips packet, right? So the machine doesn't care. The vending machine doesn't care if it is hot or cold outside. So the B4 button or B3, whatever the button, is always a chocolate bar or Coca-Cola bottle. So this is the traditional way of doing design. Okay, so the AI thinking is like a good bartender, right? So you don't need to know the menu. You just walk up and say, "Hey, I had a really, really bad day." The bartender looks at me, realize it's raining outside. He's looking outside and it's raining, and remembers you like whiskey and pours you a specific drink without you asking for it. So this is how AI is thinking. So the AI is checking the context of your environment and give you the output. The previous example, vending machine doesn't know any of the context or any of the environment. If I need a Coca-Cola, I can click a button, then it will give me a Coca-Cola. So that's a simple part. But in the AI age, it it analyzes my context, my environments, my let's say my heartbeat, let's say some data, and based on my data, based on my context, my environments, they will give me the specific personalized output for me. So that's the beauty of AI thinking. Let's look at another example. So let's look at this through the lens of navigation. The traditional design is like a paper map. So you all know this map, right? So it's a paper map, it's static. The map designer decided the layout years ago, let's say 10, 15 years ago. If there's a traffic jam or a road block, map doesn't know, right? Of course, it gives you the exact same instructions to you, to me, and to everyone else. So it's give the generic output to everyone else. To me, it's really common answer. So it relies on you to figure out the context. So this is the traditional way of doing design. This is this is the current design thinking. And let's talk about AI thinking. AI thinking is like Google Maps. It doesn't show you the road. It understands the environment. If it detects heavy traffic data, it automatically change your route. It dynamically adapt the route, right? It doesn't wait for you to ask. It proactively solves the problem. So this is what AI think. I'm sorry, any question? No. Okay, so this is what AI thinking is really like, right? We talked about a couple of examples about AI thinking was design thinking. Okay, let's compare. Let's compare all these things. The traditional design was AI design. So here, so we categorize into a couple of sections: input, flow, failure, and goal. And you can see in the columns, design thinking and the AI thinking. Design thinking is the traditional way of doing things. So user has to input explicitly the clicks and the tabs, right? And but in the AI thinking, it implicit. So AI thinking getting the inputs based on our history, our own history, and AI is scanning our history, our context, and sometimes if the devices are using some sensors, and the AI is using the sensors to understand the context of mind and the environment. And the flow, the second row, the flow, in the traditional design thinking, uh, it's all about two steps. Step one, step two. It's a linear process. But in the AI thinking, it's a dynamic process. It's a personalized path. We are not expecting from AI will go from A to B. It's give you most dynamic, most personalized output for myself, right? So so then the failures, right? The errors in the traditional thinking, traditional design thinking, in the failures, they will give some errors straight away, likewise, right? Then the system break. And that's the traditional design thinking. In the AI thinking, so AI will give some feedback. We call it feedback loop. Something, if something happened to the system, it will give something like, I'm not sure, is this right? Right? I think you may already interacting these type of feedback loops in the Google Gemini and ChatGPT and some other AI tools, right? So we are experiencing these AI thinkings. And the goal of the design thinking is the consistency. So we are creating the consistency across our system. But in the AI thinking, the main goal of AI thinking is to personalize. So it will give some personalized inputs to the end users. Okay, so let's talk about uh, AI thinking principles. Okay, yeah, yeah. So I missed something. So in the traditional product design, we want to app look for the same for everyone, right? So, but in the AI design, if Netflix looks the same for me as does for you, the design has failed, right? So that's what I wanted to share in this slide. Actually, I forgot that part. So when it comes to AI thinking principles, so the first principle is actually data is the new UI. So you don't always need buttons. Sometimes content is the interface. So I think the best example is Spotify Wrapped. I think YouTube has something similar to this, YouTube Music. And Spotify didn't ask you to fill out a form about your music taste, right? So it didn't ask anything about like what's your music taste and so many questions. Like previously we had, I think 10, 15 years ago, 10 at least 10 years ago, there were some applications, they were giving some survey, they were asking some questions from the end users about our likes and dislikes, but not anymore. The best example is Spotify. Spotify didn't ask you to fill out a form or survey about your music taste. It watched you what you did. So when we interacting with the Spotify, so they actually watched what we interacted with, and they watched what we did. So then, based on the interaction that they gathered during the initial stages, then they give some great output, some magic outputs, right? This it's the great example is the Spotify Wrapped, and YouTube. I'm not sure what the name of the YouTube thing. There's something called something similar. I can see. I've heard in the YouTube Music as well. Likewise, the best AI design requires zero input from the user. That's really controversial, right? So we used to know always user has to input something to the system, but with in the AI stage, AI age requires a zero input from the user. And so then the end user can focus on some of the major interaction, major trigger points in the application, right? We are not opening Spotify application just to fill out forms, right? We are opening Spotify or YouTube Music application just to listen to music, right? So the AI will improve our productivity. I would say the productivity or the efficiency of using applications with the help of AI. Yes, YouTube recap. Thanks, Leo. Is it stuck? Yeah, okay. Okay, so the second principle is handling uncertainty, the confidence score. So when you type an email and Google in the Gmail, the Google suggests words in gray, right? So yeah, you actually experience this thing. So that's AI thinking. It's not forcing you, it's suggesting. If it is forced you, you actually hate it, right? So by using this gray tint as the suggestions, the Google AI thinking, Google AI. So as the user, so we must have some escape hatches, right? So we just need to ignore these suggestions and we can do our own stuff. But AI will give some suggestions to improve our day-to-day activities. So it's really subtle, right? So that's what we call handling uncertainty, the confidence score. So as a designers, we must design escape hatches for when the AI is wrong. So let's say we don't need this suggestion. Uh, Sorry, Sahan, I think the first principle is the data is the new UI. Thanks for that. Thanks for the question. I hope you got it. The first principle is the data is the new UI. Now we are in the second phase, second step, second principle called handling uncertainty, the confidence score. So which is this Gmail example. So then we are moving to the third principle, the feedback loop. The third principle is the feedback loop. So this is the really important. AI gets smarter only if users teach it, right? So so we are the users, right? We are using applications daily, and so if that application uses some AI algorithm, uh, so that particular AI gets smarter based on our interactions. Basically, we are teaching that applications about our intentions, emotions, and everything, right? So AI will learn and it will improve and it will come as a good version in the next release. And the teaching moment to be invisible. So as the designers, so we need to design these teaching moments, these really tricky points, these teaching moments to be invincible, right? So the great example is TikTok. So why is TikTok is so addictive? Because every second you watch is a vote. So you are designing a system that learns. if your UI does feedback, your A stays to be. So always we need to design a system that learns, right? Go into the activity 2. So I think I hope all you got the slides correctly and all the things correctly. I think there are some network issues here and there. Are we good? Can we move on? So the first AI principle is data is the new UI, which I talked about the Spotify thing, and the second principle. These are just these principles, but again, these are not some static theory, right? So these can be these things can be changed day by day, right? So the second principle is the handling the uncertainty, the confidence score, and the feedback loop is the third principle, which I talked about the TikTok thing. Can we move on? Is there any questions or doubts so far regarding this AI thing? So before we move on to the activity, just, just put a comment or message in the chat, and I can. All good? Okay, nice. So let's do the smart versus static thing. Okay, so this will be the exercise that we're going to do today, and so we are going to redesign the alarm clock, right? So we all use the alarm clock in our mobile applications, right? iOS, Android, or whatever the operating system, we are using alarm clock in our day-to-day activities. So this is the scenario. This is the problem. So you have a lecture at 8 a.m. The 138 bus takes 45 minutes. You need 30 minutes to shower. You will set the alarm for 6:45 a.m. If the bus breaks down or the lecturer cancels the class, the alarm still rings. I mean, that's really stupid, right? That's the current design. So again, I'm saying you have the lecture at 8 a.m. The 138 bus takes 45 minutes to reach, and you need 30 minutes to shower. You will set the alarm for 6:45 a.m. If the bus breaks down or the lecturer cancels the class, but the alarm still rings. So this is the current design. So I want you to design an AI alarm clock with 0 buttons. Right? I'm not finished, right? So I'm just saying, I want you to design an AI alarm clock with 0 buttons. You never set it, it just knows when to wake you up. Right? So this is the challenge we have right now when we are creating this AI alarm clock. So I want you to list the data sources, so let's say APIs, this code needs to access to make that decision. For example, I have posted like weather data, right? So I need you to put some data sources, some context sources, some data sources, or environment data for this code needs to access to make that decision. The decision is ringing the alarm. Okay, I think Sarah started the thing. Okay, now we let's take like 4 5 minutes. I think the time is on, so you can post some ideas. Calendar data access, that's cool. That's a great one. Location, calendar data, lecture, yes, of course. Notification history, and email. Just think about the data, right? Notification is more like a feature now, but we need the data source. We need the APIs to take this decision. Yes, the map data is a good one. Uh, Public transport, yes, public transport details, route Yeah. So many interesting things, guys. Yeah. Is there anything else? Habits data. Of course, the VLD announcements. That's a good one. Hmm. Weather routes in Sri Lanka, use data sources, sleep tracking and biometrics. That's a good one. Use timetable, bus schedules, or bus schedules, the email to check whether the lecture is cancelled or not. Yeah, that's a good one, Angela. Yeah, traffic delays. Yeah. In the previous slide, we were talking about the data is the new UI. So we need to, so I need to highlight that. So in this AI age, the data, we need to highlight the data, right? We need to identify which data we need to pick for application. So that's our job. That's designer's job in this AI age. Previous day routines, so the data, public data, weather, environments, road changes, special occasions. Daily habits and schedule data, university updates. Yeah, I think, yeah, it's really good. Cool. And thanks everyone for the wonderful comments and the messages here in the chat. So now you just design a superior experience without drawing a single button. The traditional design is obsessing over the snooze button color, right? So we in the traditional design, we would think like this button should be yellow, or the corner radiuses, spaces between the buttons. But the AI thinking is connecting the traffic API, as you mentioned in the chat, or the calendar to the calendar API. So we are AI thinking is we are creating the connection between the data sets, and we are creating a great example for end users, which is alarm rings when to wake you up. So the best example, so the best interface is n- no interface. So, but this is what we need to figure out in next 10-15 years, right? So AI is booming rapidly, and we need to praise the data. We need to praise the data as much as possible, and we need to think through how to solve end users' problems by using this AI, because by using this data. AI is already there, right? AI is already there, but we need to help the end users by using AI with the help of data sets, right? So this is what we need. Okay, so this is my personal career advice, and this summary of so far about this AI thing, AI designing, this AI thinking. Um, so AI can write code, right? So they can write code. AI can generate UI, of course. There are lots of tools to generate UI like Figma Make and Lovable, and some tools out there to create UIs instantly. And there are lots of software tools like uh, Cursor. I'm personally using the Cursor. It's really, really cool tool. Cursor is to develop some application rapidly. with the help of code and with the help of the UI. And so there are lots of tools coming out still out there, uh, but learn how data influences design. So this is the really tricky part. So as the designers, as the problem solvers, so we need how data influences design. So anyone can learn Figma, anyone can learn code, how to code, right? But if we can learn how data patterns and how data influences human experiences, right? So then that's the most tricky point in this age of AI. So that's my the career advice as a designer uh, to you guys. Of course, you need to master the code. Of course, you need to master the UI. Of course, you need to master the traditional design thinking methods. But along with that, we need to master the data influences, how data influences design. Imagine, so it's really important. Imagine a grandmother in a rural home trying to pay her electricity bill online. She fails the captcha and the screens turn red. She's error code 400, right? For the AI. The system flags her as an inefficient session, right? So, but to you, the designer, so you know the truth, right? You know she is not inefficient. She's terrified. She's worried that if this fails, her lights will be cut off tonight, right? So she feels the humiliation of asking for help again. So this is the emotion part that we need to figure out. AI cannot AI cannot understand these emotions at all. So we cannot AI cannot see these emotions at all. As the designers, as the problem solvers, we need to identify the user's emotion and user's thought processes. So that's why I praised the initial research part, empathize levels, and ideates section, the traditional design thinking methods. That those phases, those steps are really, really important us to understand the end users, right? So AI sees the data point. You see the dignity. The designer see the dignity. The machine cannot. The AI, it's a Chat GPT or the Google Gemini cannot sit with her in the next side, the other side, and room and feel that panic. So only the designer, the problem solver, can see that struggle and say, we need to fix this. So, my dear friends, so master the code, master the tools, but never let go of your empathy. Empathy is the most important part in this age, in this AI era. So it's the one thing. So this is my opinion. So this is the one thing the machine cannot replace. So AI can replace anything, but AI can replace this particular human feeling, the empathy. So that's why AI needs us to improve the design into the next level. So that's your job. Yeah, thanks everyone. So that's my weave of the design thinking and the AI thinking weave so far. So I think so. Let's have a small session to go through the questions. I mean, I may not have the fully answers right now, but I'm on LinkedIn. I'll try to answer some of the questions of yours. But here, let's put your questions here, or even unmute yourself. I'm not sure whether you can. Yeah, you can unmute and ask any questions. I'll try my best to give some answers to you guys. Any question? Or any thoughts about this AI era? Or do we need to scare? I don't know about the AI era, but we need to figure it out. Yeah, that's a great point. The privacy is the most important thing while using the data. Yeah, yes. So the privacy and the data security is the other side. So we need, as the designer, as the problem solvers, we need to understand and we need to master like how we can gather the data with the consent of the users, right? So it's up to us, up to the designers, up to our teams to create that framework to maintain the data security and privacy. And that's why cybersecurity is really most important these days when you think about the AI in this AI age. Thanks, Boset, for that great question. Let's take like 5 minutes, and I'll hand over to you, Dinara. Um, let's see. Is that AI replace IFS employees? I don't know. It's up to us, up to designers. Like so, it's up to the designers, up to the AI, and so AI doesn't replace employees, but the skill does. So we need some inputs from the AI, and we need some input the designers and the users to improve the skills for anyone. So then AI can't replace anyone. So it actually improve the productivity of the employees. So even for me as the designer, actually I improved a lot with the AI. And even I discussed this in the initial slide as well. So it helped me a lot to fine tune the scripts and test scripts and use interview scripts by using AI. And it improved our productivity and efficiency. But I don't think it will happen nearly. It's my personal opinion. Uh, how can designers maintain a human-centered UI while integrating AI features that make decisions automatically? Yes, the human-centered is where we discuss in the empathize level. So in the empathize stage, we are sit next to the user and we are asking question from the human user. So then based on the human users' feedback, we are providing solutions to the human users. So AI, so we are improving the AI based on the human users' problems. Is it true that UX salary is kind low compared to devs and all? I mean, that depends. I mean, the UI, I mean, again, UI UX salary depends on the designer's skills and designer's developer skill. And again, it's some obvious question. It depends. Are software engineering and UI designing a good career choice in the current fast AI development? And it's up to you, Nipun. I mean, I cannot say the designing is good choice at this moment, but as I said earlier, improve the data. I mean, improve the data, like understanding the data skill. So then it doesn't give you any sort of a bad vibe uh, about your future career. So it's up to you. And since you are in the initial stages of your career, just explore the environments and understand how uh, this AI flows with AI strong, and you would understand eventually. In empathy stage, to have a plan, what app would you recommend? In empathy stage, to have a plan, what app would you recommend? I mean, in the empathy stage, in the empathize stage, the first thing we discuss is we actually interviewing the users, right? We are observing the users. So there are some tools in the market called userinterviews.com. So it's a really good tool. So it allows us to communicate with the end users and record the end users interactions. So I think userinterviews.com is a good tool, I would say, to your question. What advice would you give someone who wants to become a UI/UX designer, and what should beginners focus before interviews? What do companies usually look for in new UI/UX designers? It's simple, Senara. It's all about problem solving skills. So we discuss this thing. So if you can solve a problem, and if you can convey some problem clearly to your stakeholders, to your listeners in your company, even in your interview panel, so that's a great sign that you are a good candidate. As a beginner, AI, I'm sorry guys, I think sometimes I miss some of your comments, but I'll try my best to pick comments. So what was the question? As a beginner, AI sometimes makes us wonder whether we will still be important in the future. What is your perspective on this? And do you have any advice on approach AI in a better way? So yes, as I said, um, so I don't think AI will replace us, but AI will improve our productivity and efficiency. And so in that point of view, so we need to treat AI as a companion. So that's why you are seeing so many chatbots, so many companions right next to in a loud application. I can see some Meta, Google, and anywhere you can see some companions right next to in the window. So treat it like a companion. So yeah. Could you give us some real-world example of AI-driven UI improvements on features you have implemented in Dive? That's a good question, Digi. But so right now, you can go to ifs.ai. It's a company domain. You can check what we have done so far. It's a public website, and you can have a look and what are the things that we are doing in the AI level. So we are in an agentic AI environment. So we are doing such some experiments, and you can have a look in that website. Even you can go to ifs.com and you can check some of the latest features that we are doing with what we are incorporating these days with AI and with AI agents. Do UX designers, researchers have much left to do when they... I missed that question. Do UX designers, researchers have much left to do when data scientists also focus on qualitative data and researchers? Do UX designers, researchers have much left to do when data scientists also especially so next point of view, the users, right? Humans. So they are checking the humans experience, their emotions. And the other side, the data scientists, data engineers, they are focusing on the data which will be gathered by the humans. So we are mainly focusing on the human part, the data engineers mainly focusing on outputs, um, what gives from the end users. So I believe these are two different parts, but the UX designers are mainly focusing on the humans, human experiences, human emotions. So that cannot, we cannot track that emotions by using data scientists. I'm not sure, but that's really impossible. That's why we need empathize. We need to monitor how users are using these products as the observable level. Now AI designs reduce the new thinking, new ideas, explore new designs among users. Then AI satisfying. Now AI designs reduce the new thinking, new ideas, and explore new designs among users. Then AI satisfying the users' ideas without the research or more ideas. In this case, AI reducing the thinking capacity. No, I'm sure I got the question correctly, Hamsika, but I'm assuming that AI not reducing the thinking capacity of the human. So uh, AI actually improve our productivity, right? So then we can focus on other initiatives, other things in our day-to-day activities. So AI is basically to improve ourselves, improve the humanity. So that's a good. There are so many things, right? The AI is here to invade us. There are some concepts here and there, but from the good side, I'm still assuming AI is here to help us to improve our life, improve the humanity. So on that point of view, I don't think AI will reduce the human thinking capacity. Since there is a shortage of opportunities in the industry, what makes a beginner unique among others? What are the qualifications that we have to master? That's a good question, Vishwani. I believe the major skill is the problem solving skill. And problem, so if you can problem and if you can understand the problem correctly, and I said this earlier, if you can convey that problem to your stakeholders, to your lecturers, your audiences, I think you are the star, right? So we in the industry, even in the tech industry, that's really lacking right now. So if you are a beginner, so improve the design, improve the problem solving skills, and master the problem solving skills, and it'll highlight you uh, among the audiences. What UX design techniques can be used to be supported long-term user engagement retention? Again, it's basically we talked about this iterative process, Ishara. So in the iterative process, we are monitoring them, and again, we are taking the feedback, taking the information while we are monitoring them, or taking the observation, and again, we are note down those things, and we are improving the product. So these things has to be iterative, circular way. So up until the products end, I mean, products is actually here for the infinity, but upon the products end, we need to do that task um, repetitively. I'm interested in applying to IFS. Could you share some advice on the way to approach in beginners? That's a great question. Again, it's a great question, Digi, if I'm named you correctly. But yes, so again, improve the problem solving skills, improve the presentation skills, I would say. Improve how you explain yourself to others, right? For example, if you are applying for a UX position, you need to improve the portfolio, and you need to present your portfolio into a good level. Attention, we need to grab the attention quickly. So improve that presentation skills and problem solving skills. So those are the main two things which I believe. This is my personal opinions, but yeah, so improve those skills. I think you are good to go. What are the tools what are the tools that beginners should master? I didn't get that, Vishwani. I think what types of, I mean, we don't need, from the design thinking point of view, the tools are comes and go. There new tools are retiring, and then now new tools are coming, and but if you can master the problem solving skills, and if you can master the presentation skill, analytical skills, And that's the best tool, I would say, for the beginners to master. But of course, you need to master the coding and the designing skills. But if you want to highlight among others, those are the things that we need to master. What are the good courses that we can master UI UX? That's a tricky question, Anushka. I don't, but I would recommend the NN group. It's a great source for the user experience people to understand the world view of the user experience, the human experiences, and with the AI things, and some other courses like Interaction Design Foundation. I'm not recommending it, but just have a look, and you can understand what others, what the world view is about these courses. Right. Let's see if I missed any. What types of things should we include in a UX researcher portfolio? That's a good question, Dilanka. So UX researcher portfolio, I think even in the design thinking process, I think I can remember. So we mentioned the empathize stage, user interviews and user observation. If you can add some, you don't need to, create real world things, but at least you can create some user interview sessions, some fake user interview session. I mean, it's like for your learning purposes. And if you're a beginner, right, but you are some good researcher, you should at least have some research interviews. If you can add those research things into your portfolio, I think it's a good thing. Can you suggest some ways to improve our communication skill related to professional level? We just have deliver what we wanted to tell about the world, I guess. Yes, of course. Piratap, yes. So even from I felt the same when I was beginning when I was in the initial levels of my career. But so improve the communication. So how we can improve our communication is by communicating with others. So, right. So we need to communicate. We need to convey our ideas. We need to sketch ideas. We need to we need to showcase our ideas to others. Do practice those communication methods, right? And so otherwise, so it's really hard to improve those communication methods without practicing it. So do practice with people. Do you practice with your friends and in your colleagues, and it will get you somewhere to improve that skills. Is there industry acceptance for certificates from course offered through LinkedIn Learning? I'm not sure, Kavin, about the certificates, the LinkedIn Learning thing, but so I'm not sure about that. But it's great to learn those things, the LinkedIn Learning, but I'm not sure whether you are industry is accepting some of the certificates. But it's a great tool to understand the basics, great tool to understand some of the concepts behind about the some of the curriculums in that certificates. Yeah, I think I have answered major of your questions. I'm using LinkedIn, and if you have any questions, you can post any message, and I'll try my best to answer. Yeah, thanks thanks a lot for your time, and I hope you learn something out of my presentation, small presentation. And so, yeah, over to you, Dinara. So, yeah, thanks a lot, everyone.
Thank you so much, Mr. Pulasthi Ranawaka, for taking the time to share your expertise and insights with us today. Your guidance on UX and design thinking has been truly inspiring, and we are very grateful for your contribution to this workshop. A quick reminder, please mark your attendance by scanning the QR code displayed on the screen. This ensures you will receive your e-certificate. We will wait a few minutes for you to scan QR. Is everyone done marking attendance? We shared the link to the chat so you can check it.
Yeah, I will share the presentation with you guys.
Before we officially wrap up, we'd love to take a group photo of everyone who joined today's session. If possible, please switch on your camera and set the virtual background. The official background image I dropped to the group.
Also, there are some things someone is asking on the recordings. Hope you can share the organizing committee.
Yes, Chamik, yes.
Okay.
All right, let's take the photo. 3, 2, 1, say cheese. Thank you everyone for joining the group photo. Once again, our sincere thanks to Mr. Pulasthi Ranawaka for sharing his valuable insights and taking the time to be with us today. Our next workshop will be held on 12th December. Thank you once again for staying with us till the end. Have a wonderful evening, and we hope to see you at our next upcoming sessions. Thank you.